Well, hello and welcome to the DC United Kingdom podcast. Yes, it is season 3 and it's episode 16. Not like season 3, episode 15, which I forgot to change the intro. I apologise. That's my fault. It's been a busy day at work for me. But as always, I'm your host, James Graham. As you'll see alongside me over on this side, and I got it right first time, is the lovely Daniel Wise. How are you doing?
James, I'm doing all right. We just had 4th of July weekend.
You did? What did you get up to?
Just about as America as you can get it. So I
Barbecue?
ended up
Can I guess?
barbecue.
I'm guessing you had barbecue, you had fireworks.
And firearms.
Firearms, and I'm imagining plenty of booze.
Yes. Not
Sure.
on my part.
No?
It was a very hot weekend, and I am not one who likes to drink on just sweltering hot days. It's
Okay.
actually, you know what? Probably a good thing I didn't do a whole lot of that because I did get a little bit of heat exhaustion at one point on Sunday.
dear.
So had to tap out for a hot second, but got back in there. Enjoyed the fireworks, but. Yeah, we got up to some stuff. I spent it with my girlfriend's parents at her family's place, a little town about an hour east of where I'm at, and we had a great time. So yeah, it was a great weekend.
Nice.
How was the where am I being incredulous at the colonies day for you?
I mean, my 4th of July, what did I do? Not a lot, really. I sent a tweet out saying, Happy 4th of July.
Right?
Yeah.
Appreciate
So,
that.
which I do mean. Happy 4th of July last weekend. I spent it really trying to recover from my second COVID jab.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously last week I just had it that evening. And Friday, spent the day trying to lift my arm up like I did when I had the first one, and it was a bit sore.
Yeah.
Got to Saturday, I was wiped out, completely wiped out. I was not pleasant. I was ill. I was headachy. I was fluey. My body just ached all over, and it was like that for the full day. Not like the first time where I recovered about 3ish. In the afternoon, and I was absolutely fine. It was for the full day. Got to the next day and I was starting to feel a bit better. Very breathless, which was very strange. But got through the day and was fine again. Bit strange. And if that's anything like what COVID is like, I do not wish it on anyone.
Right.
It's horrendous. So, yeah, let's not have people have COVID, because it's just not a pleasant thing in the slightest.
But aside from that, you got a supreme jolt of happiness.
I mean, yeah,
a day or two ago.
I don't know what are you talking about. I mean,
is it still coming home?
Yes, it is coming home. It's fantastic. What a game! Edge of your seat stuff. Yes, we deserved a penalty. It was a very soft penalty, but we deserved that. And yeah, it's coming out. I can't wait. I can't wait for Sunday. It's going to be fantastic. Oh, what a joyous, lovely evening. Spent it with my wife. We cheered like mad. I did some fist bumps. I was just doing all of this. Wore my England shirt with Peter Crouch on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, what an absolute brilliant evening. Can't argue with it in the slightest. So yeah, it was fantastic.
Now, are you worried about Italy? Are you?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, Italy are a fantastic team. Let's not pull any punches on this. They're unbeaten since 2018. So it's going to be a difficult game, but in the semi-final against Spain, they showed their weaknesses in that game. Spain had some clear-cut opportunities, and they showed that Italy can be beaten. Yes, they didn't beat them, but they took them to penalties. And Spain, to me, didn't look the greatest of sides in that game. They were wasteful. Their passing was brilliant. There was times when Italy dominated. it was, yeah, for me, it's a game that we can win, and I'm really looking forward to Sundays. Going around my mates, he's cooking us a curry, he's got the beers in the fridge already. I can't wait. It's just, and the word on the street is, if England win, there might well be what we have over here called a bank holiday the following day, which means everyone who doesn't work in retail gets a day off.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, yes. That would be amazing. Just to spend a day recovering from that and celebrate it's coming home. It would be fantastic. I just want to point out we've had a fair few comments already come through on the YouTube chat. I don't know whether they're potentially related to you, Daniel, but Graham and Weston?
Yes.
Yes.
They're my nephews coming in, checking out the show.
So Graham has just put in fry, and I'm from what I'm guessing, what Weston's put is it looks like a fried egg.
Yeah, no, it's a joke that we don't have a lot of time to get into.
Okay.
I can maybe get you sort of offline about that, but ban them now. That's all I can say.
No, we're not banning them.
No.
I'm just going to do a little graphic up on screen for those of you who are watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to keep in touch with all the latest episodes. But in all honesty, we've had another comment as well, an actual proper comment from my good friend Stu, just saying, of course, it's a Peter Crouch shirt. # it's coming home. It's coming home. 2021, honestly, it's the first final in my lifetime that England have been in. I just cannot believe that we actually did it. It didn't sink in straight away. I was a bit like, did that happen? I was expecting to be a bit emotional and things like that, but no, nothing happened. And I was just like, we made a final?
Yeah.
What?
I can imagine Sunday is going to be unreal. Whatever happens, it's going to be a
tearful
experience. Yeah,
it's going to be tearful. Whether they're tears of joy or tears of sadness, that's to be decided yet. But yes, there will be tears. My mate who's hosting a couple of us rounds, socially distanced and everything, of course. Mm-hmm. He's already said he's going to be crying on Sunday no matter what happens. And he's not a man who will admit to crying that often. So for him to say that, that's it shows how much this game means to this nation. We've had 15, 16 months of unhappiness, really, and depression, and just this whole COVID saga. To the team to come together, to have this whole nation have something to get behind and enjoy and bring us together. It's something that we've really needed, and it's potentially a 90,000 sellout. It's going to be the first full capacity final since COVID began in this country. It's going to be insane. That atmosphere last night it absolutely rocked, but this Sunday, if it is full 90,000, it's going to be unreal. It's just going to be loud.
This is probably the best chance this team has. I mean, since those great like star teams of like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, the golden ball era.
Exactly. This is probably the best chance they have, and especially with how a lot of those young players have been brought up and they've really flourished. Yeah. Just since the early 2010s, Luke Shaw and Harry Kane, those players that have really grown up through the system. It's going to be, they deserve it. They really do. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm really looking forward to Sunday. A couple of comments are coming through, so keep them coming in. We will try and answer any questions live on the show. So whether you're watching on Twitter, Twitch, or on YouTube, please send those questions in live. But yeah, a couple of comments. Cool Swagger 110's just done a nice happy smiley face. I'll take that. Yeah. Because we're all very happy. This episode is called "Can You Believe It?" because it has been a week of, can you believe it? It's just been a fantastic week, both for us over here in England and for DC United as well, because we will get into that. But and just before we do get into score prediction league, Stu's just said he's not convinced it wasn't all a dream. Sunday is going to be one hell of an event, regardless of the results. 100%. Or as you like to say, Daniel, 5,000%.
Yes. Speaking of 5,000%, so
Yes.
we have some news to get into with the team.
Yeah.
A lot of good things to get into this week.
Definitely.
Especially with my Mr. 5,000 Ola
Yes.
Kamara.
Definitely. Before we do, let's get into that score prediction league, just to give you guys out there that little update. Well, let's put it this way. Not much has changed. We both got 1 point each because we both got the result correct. I was trying to think of the right word to say that, but yes, we both got the result correct of DC beating Toronto. It wasn't difficult. But if you put our scorelines together, we got the right result. Because I predicted 3-1, you predicted 4-0. Put them together, 7-1. And that was what the result was. So, hey, we got it right between us.
Yes, and so, that's what matters. We felt it coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the news. This last week, there's been a lot happen in the last 7 days. It's crazy how much has happened. So if you see me look over, that means I'm looking over to my show notes. But last night, I'll kick it off there. The Capital Cup, as if you don't know, is a tournament that's just recently been announced. It was meant to be between 4 teams, but Puebla had to pull out due to COVID reasons, so it is a 3-team event. But we did play, I'm just going to use the initials LDA last night. I'm not even going to attempt to say their name because I will get it wrong and it will embarrass everyone.
A very good Costa Rican club won the 2020 Apertura, so good quality team coming through.
And we won it with a lovely Felipe Martins free kick. It was very cheeky. I think that's what Dave Johnson called it. It was cheeky. I'm surprised they didn't do what every other team on the planet was doing and stuck a man on the ground behind the wall, because that seems to be what every single team's doing at the moment. But Felipe saw that as just drilled. Well, I wouldn't say drilled. He passed it underneath. I think the keeper could have done better with that one, I will say. I mean, he dived and didn't really stretch his arms out. But you know what? It was our B team, and we beat them 1-0. It was a good result. Shame it wasn't being streamed over here and wasn't streamed on the website. It was on NBC's Washington. So if you were able to tune in, I hope you enjoyed the game. Any thoughts on that, Daniel?
No, I did not. I was not able to catch it either.
Of course, yeah. Because you're in South Dakota or something like that, aren't you?
Well, I'm not sure. I actually didn't check if it was something that was on ESPN Plus.
No.
But I'm not sure. But regardless, I had family stuff going on last night.
Okay.
So, kind of depended on, getting the recap from it. But some Loudon guys got some good minutes. And, I think this is one of those things where, and over this stretch of this Capital Cup, Losada is really going to have to focus on sharpening, some of these, mid-level guys or outlier reserve guys. Yeah. And try to really sharpen them up. This is, I think it's great that this is happening. Having this sort of bye week, it's going to shake up, how things look on the Eastern Conference. But it's not necessarily a break. I think definitely some of the top level guys are getting that break. But this is a great opportunity to look at some of the other players and improve sort of their game sense and just see how this system stacks up against some sort of different teams. So it's a great competition, and it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a tweet that came out just actually before we went live from Jason Anderson of Black and Red United, who's saying that it looks like Losada is going to be picking a full strength lineup for this weekend. So that's going to be interesting. interesting to see how well we do that, and it just shows how important actually this Capital Cup is to us and how seriously we're actually taking it. So it means that the main team will get good, valuable minutes. It means that they're not going to lose any match sharpness. They're playing a decent team. There's not really anything you can argue with it, is there?
No. So yeah, good sort of keeping the sharpness going until we take on Philadelphia on the 17th.
Yes, absolutely. Or at the 18th in my land. Anyway, time zone differences. Gotta love it.
Yes.
Before we talk about the Toronto stuff, let's just go over some of the other bits in the news. So, on the last show, we did get to announce that the Poins? Who's Poins? Who the hell is Poins? That's a weird way of saying Pines. Anyway, Donovan Pines, I think that's where I was going. I just confused the two together. So Donovan Pines and Areola were called up to the US men's national team for the Gold Cup. However, Nyman and Paredes afterwards got told that they get to train with the team before the Gold Cup begins. So that gives them valuable experience on a senior level to see what it takes to play at that top level. So,
totally deserved, and I think that's a great opportunity for Paredes to get that experience, especially from a whole range of players who are getting experience over in Europe, or are really playing well over here in the States, to get a whole lot of different perspectives and be able to see how a lot of these different players play. That's going to be valuable to him, and especially Nyman as well. Another guy who, I like I've said before, is developmentally, like, he is on a great track. His potential is incredible, and so again, for him, same thing. It's probably getting a chance to pick brains and observe other players and really take a lot of things home from that.
Yeah, definitely. Other things that have happened recently, and this is kind of a today one actually. The transfer rumor of we've got reported interest in Tigers midfielder, so a Liga MX team, Tigers, Jordan Sierra. So correct me, Ecuadorian, isn't he?
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Yep. Ecuadorian midfielder Jordan Sierra. God, I'm really bad with my pronunciations this evening. He, according to Transfer Market, he's valued at 1.5 million euros. And he's a central midfielder who can play in defensive midfield, central midfield, or as an attacking midfielder. 24 years old.
Yep.
He's played, I think it was over 120 times in his career. So it's a difficult one because I've not obviously been able to have a chance to look at his stats in detail or anything like that. But
with Tigres, he's had 11 appearances, 2 starts with them. Black and Red United, they had covered this and they found a sort of YouTube sizzle reel. Yes, Jordan Sierra, I don't know. I would kind of go for someone either on the defensive backline side, or again, I think someone, and we'll get into this, but an actual target man for this team.
Ola Kamara's not a target man.
So and maybe I don't know, maybe Kamara is on an upswing, and maybe I'll be eating my words at some point here. But
5,000%.
5,000%. We'll see. But hey, this team needs depth for sure, especially with some of the injury issues they've had this year. And to be honest, a lot of those midfield players, they're young guys.
Yeah. And
I think in a way you want to get more veteran leadership or veteran experience in there, because it comes down to decision making.
Yes.
And I've talked about this with Paredes. Some of his decision making just is a little off. He's very intense. It's great to see him get after it. But once he gets into that attacking third, there's just not a ton of game sense there. And then,
Yeah.
like we've said, that's something that develops over time. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, no, if he's someone who can bring a lot of creativity and prowess to the midfield, I'm all for that.
No, definitely. Other things that we've had happen. So we signed homegrown to a contract. That is Jeremy Garay.
Yeah.
Yes, I finally got.
I would. Yeah.
Yes. So that's good news. I can't imagine he'd be playing anytime this season for DC United. I think he's just straight back into Loudon. But it's good to see that we are signing more homegrowns. The youth academy is doing its job. The Pathway to Pro project is doing absolute great wonders for the club. Long may that continue.
The Mid-Atlantic is a fantastic little hotbed of soccer talent. There's really good academies around the Maryland and Virginia areas. So, yeah, it's great seeing them build that pipeline.
Definitely. Other bits of news I thought I'd work out. Looked at the table when I was looking at the previews and the reviews and all that jazz for today. DC United, we've won as many games this year as we did in the entire of 2020. Lasada ball at its finest.
Boy, yeah.
This season's definitely going to be improvement on last season. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. I mean, we've already improved in terms of on the pitch stuff. We're improving off the pitch with the new front technical staff. That's the word I was looking for. Mm-hmm. And a shout out to what's his name? The new chief scout of DC United. He's now followed me on Twitter.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, Sean Howe. I don't know whether it's any relation to Eddie Howe. That would be fantastic if he is. Eddie Howe's Bournemouth. Well, it's no longer Eddie Howe's Bournemouth anymore. Mm-hmm. It's Jonathan Woodgate's Bournemouth, and that's a sad sight. Actually, I don't think his contract's run out as well, and he's not been renewed, so it's nobody's Bournemouth anymore. I'm going off topic. Anyway, moving on. Ola Kamara, our favourite striker, is leading the way in MLS for minutes per goal. Somehow, he's doing it. He's doing a job for us, and if that stays the same way at the end of the season, granted, if he doesn't play again, it will stay the same. But if he plays more games and he still keeps banging in the goals, if he gets to double figures, I think we'll both be pleased about that, won't we?
For sure. I mean, look, that's it's so early in the season. We're barely a third of the way through.
I was going to say that. I don't think a third is early in the season anymore. We're getting into the meat of the season. We're getting into the meat pie now.
To be truly honest, I'd say we're at the we're at the peas right now.
Oh, have we not got through to the crust yet?
We've taken a sip of the coffee.
I sip of the coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the bangers and mash, that is that
has this bangers and mash got gravy on it?
Well, we'll have to see once we reach probably that mid to late August. That is very much where you get into the meat of the season, especially in DC, where it gets hot and it's like tough.
I'm going to quote you on here. It's like a soup, a Campbell's tomato soup.
Yeah, and that is really like where the team has to like hunker down, get some wins. Yeah. And it's great that they've gotten some early wins here. But to be honest, yes, it's great seeing them, dominate so well against Toronto, dominate Miami, in both the first game and the return leg. But I mean, let's talk about Columbus. Let's talk about San Jose or San Diego.
Yes.
Those were games where we got summarily torched. And those are good teams. And this is what I've said from the start. Like, yes, we can beat the bottom feeders, but we gotta get something against, those teams who are towards the top of the table. And like we haven't really even scratched into the depth of the Western Conference. And
No.
you look at the split between the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, and the quality of just points that teams are getting over there. It's scary.
Yeah.
And you look, especially you look at the Sounders, who are playing just fantastic football out there. LA Galaxy and Chicharito, who's having a great resurgence, or not even a resurgence, but like he's really found his stride in MLS this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be scary once those teams start coming to DC or we go to them. Those are the games that are going to measure this team.
I'm gonna counter that, what you've just said there, and just say with those games that you just mentioned, that was very early on in the season, because we've played into Miami twice. We were unlucky against Montreal. We tied 0-0. We should have won that game. We've won a couple of games as well, but those games that were early on. One, Losada is style of play hadn't quite fully bedded in yet. It's still not fully bedded in, but two. Yeah. We had a major injury crisis as well, so we couldn't put a full-strength team out. I think when it comes to these types of games coming forward, we're going to be in a much better position. We've got the likes of Bill back, who wasn't in those games. Birnbaum's just come back in this Capital Cup tournament, so he's going to be looking to get his match sharpness up and getting some minutes under his belt. We've got a fully strength defence. The midfielders coming back. Flores is due to play again this weekend. Yeah. We've got strikers. Good Roberta, who's scored 2 and 2. We're on this upward trend right now, and it's a good time to play these teams because we're going to be a bit more confident. We've got the team. We're in the right place. It's going to be a good test to actually see where we are. First and foremost. Yeah. But if we do end up beaten, we're going to really start climbing up this conference and start getting towards the top. And people are going to be very surprised and actually take us seriously for what a great team we actually are. So I think going forward, it's going to be difficult for me to see who's really going to start beating us convincingly. I don't think any team right now can beat us convincingly. I don't see a San Jose or the San Diego Rockies, or whatever we're going to call them, beating us by the 3 or 4 goals. I can't see that. I just don't. We are playing so much better now than what we did at the start of the season. I just think we're in this lovely place where we've just come off a record-breaking win. Yeah. Confidence is really, really high. I mean, I don't know whether that's also England doing some disillusion to me and just me going on cloud 9 right now. I don't know, but we're in a really good place, and I think we're going to be going into each game knowing we can outscore the opponent.
And I will totally give you that. And to be honest, it's interesting seeing the turnaround that Toronto had after their game against us, pulling out a really gritty 3-2 win against the Revs.
The conference leaders, New England Revs. Let's remind people of that.
Fantastic turnaround. And I mean, man, let's just sort of pause for a second and reflect on the bullet we did dodge. Because the fact is, the offer was on the table to Chris Armas.
Yes.
And it was there. We were about 10 yards from the finish line on that, but Chris wanted more. And so the deal fell through, and the team went for Losada. This very well could have been Chris Armas' DC United. At this point, I mean, we would have a very different tone to this podcast at this point.
I don't think I'll be doing the podcast.
That's so it's wild seeing that. So yeah, Toronto could be very well a different team going forward.
No doubt about that. You look at what Armas did to Toronto. You look at the fact that he throws out Josie Altidore, which doesn't matter which way you look at it, he can score goals.
Yeah.
And it's something that obviously Toronto just have missed. Is well, apart from Akinola, who's an absolute great player, what a find he is. Yeah. They need that, and they need that target man up top, and it's just Armas just doesn't know what. Not to slag him off or anything, because I don't like to do that. He just doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it comes across, and that's the second time after a DC United match he's been sacked, which is kind of great. It's I know Stu was saying in our little WhatsApp group we've got between us that he's going to need therapy soon. Whenever he sees DC United, he's going to need some kind of therapy.
It's a shame.
It's not a shame. It's not a shame. Come on, Daniel.
No, I feel for that, and that for anyone who's sort of like in that managerial career, it's soccer is a vicious sport, and a lot of these coaches, if they don't produce, like they're out ASAP. So I guess all in all, what I'm trying to say, and I'll kind of call back to earlier in the season when I started talking about the lunch pails and the hard hats.
Oh, God, yes.
This is, regardless of how great that win against Toronto was, this team can't get complacent. They can't really revel in that too much, because coming up, they're going to face a really tough Philadelphia team at Subaru Park in Philly, in Chester. So, and as it's known, when you go to Philly, you find out. So this is a team that needs to sort of respect the dynamics of what's going to happen this season, and and I think that's something that Losada is probably instilling in them. I think he's really bringing in that culture shift of, hey, winning's great, but you're not going to get that every week. And so I think the players will come in with the right mindset.
Definitely. This is just a little reminder. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. We will answer them live on the show. Or if you're listening to this after the fact, just keep an eye out. There is a link that we do where you can send in your questions, or feel free just to DM me at DC United Kingdom. Let's get on to that review of that record-breaking game. Yeah. So I'll run through the stats as I always do. So obviously we won 7-1. It's the most goals we've ever scored in a game. We've done 6 a couple of times, but we've never scored the 7. It was just a fantastic game. After England had won 4-0, it was just 11 goals in one evening. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that.
Well, it was the highest goals scored in an MLS game, and it was also where it had the most goals scored by different players.
Yes, there was 7 different players, so there was no one got a brace or anything like that. Yeah. And that's the first time that's ever happened for that amount of goals. So,
and that's in over 6,000 games. So that's pretty wild. The odds of that.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of possession, we beat them on that, 52 to 48% possession. Shots, we got 21, they got 6. On target, we had 9, they had 3. So both keepers made 2 saves. Fouls, pretty even, 13 to 14. But the expected goals, which was a little bit of a shock for me, this one. We were on 2.8. Toronto were on 1.8. That shocked me quite a lot. That they were on 1.8. I don't really remember any other sort of clear chances that they had to score. I don't know.
Well, I would say, sort of leading up to that, we felt very confident going into it. I felt very confident about DC's ability to score goals on that game. But coming into that, DC only had 10 goals on the season.
It's true, yeah. 10 goals in 11 games.
So
it was not great. It's very un-Losada-like.
Yeah,
some would say. If anyone looks at his track record, he's normally a guy who likes to have 10-goal games where he had a 5-5, we're still yet to have that, but a 7-1 goes a long way towards it.
Yes.
And then just other things. The game was dedicated to Big Rob, as it rightly should have been. We loved seeing the T4 in the stands as well. So great work by all the support groups to put that together. And yes, Kobe still sucks. I loved that. I loved seeing that. That was fantastic. If you don't know the backstory to that, go and Google it. Go and search for it. It is a fantastic little story. I can't remember hearing Dave Johnson saying it's in the net so many times. It was such a glorious evening, and I want to talk through the goals, but there's so many. But the first one, Kevin Paredes, within 90 seconds, I think it was within 70 seconds, we're 1-0 up. That cross, I think it was Nahar who put the ball across the goal. Lovely dummy. Paredes fires it into the top corner. How much celebrating did you do when you saw that?
So that's the funny thing. I had this game going at my girlfriend's place.
Yeah.
And, it was funny because people would kind of come in and out. There was like 70 people at her place over the weekend.
How many?
And so like 70 people. It was kind of like a
What?
4th of July family reunion type of thing.
Flippin' heck.
It was
Fair play.
a lot. So people were coming in and out. But she and I think her sister stopped by to check it out, and we were watching, and it was kind of nuts seeing those early goals. Paredes and Roberta coming in and just absolutely lighting a fire in those early minutes. So I was like, hey, this is soccer right here. So it was fantastic seeing that happen.
And that ball by Moreno through to Roberta, it was just sublime. Absolutely beautiful through ball, and Roberta just calm as you like, bottom corner, job done. Mm-hmm. That own goal, though, that was quite funny. I laughed quite a lot when I saw that ricochet off his rear end.
Yes.
And it trickles into the bottom of the net. It was just like Bono in goal, doing his best Bono impression, playing in goal. Yeah, sorry about that. It was, honestly, it was just horrendous.
Well, yeah, you just going through the ticker of this. It's just it's wild seeing all of those DC United goals. Now Toronto did come in the 39th minute, and they did score that one as we were up 3-1.
That hindsight ball out was a bit.
Yeah,
it was not great. That was a momentary.
Judgment.
Yeah, exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth on that one.
And that's what happens sometimes. And this is why I'm very much hammering home the point that, like, no complacency, don't get a big head, because that's what can happen. And any time you sort of leave an opening like that, especially if you get those early goals. Yeah. Early goals are sort of the worst. You get that early lead, anything can happen at that point.
Yeah,
you can get a little bit complacent, and then suddenly one goal comes back, then another one, and now all of a sudden you're looking, and the whole mentality of the game completely shifts. And those are just things to really watch out for, especially as you play better teams throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Second half wise, I'm trying to remember the order of the goals. Who was the first one in the second half? Remind me. Was that Areola?
I want to say yes.
Because that was a nice little through ball, and in typical Areola fashion, he hammers it home, into the bottom corner. That was a very, very good finish.
Yep.
Then I think, was it Assad after that?
It was Kamara after that.
Oh, it was the Kamara one. Yao's ball through to him.
Yes.
Oh my word.
Very good. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just a hammer. He's seen him clear, and he's just belted it. It was the curl on the ball as well, with the inside of his boot. It was just beautifully curled round, and then Kamara
and
showed his strength.
he really did, and that is, if he can keep showing that in the next games, like I'll completely take that back, you know, and you know, totally. And then after him was
that was the Assad
Yamo
one.
Assad in
That was a great header.
Yes.
Because you saw the ball. Yes, it had a little deflection from the cross by Areola.
Yep.
But the way Assad had to shift and then just go back on himself and then hit it, that's a really difficult thing to do.
Really difficult. And he had solid power on that.
Yeah.
So, credit to him. Another player who just, has had a really tough time finding his stride with the team this season.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are things that I think, yes, should build confidence. And hopefully he takes that and sort of finds that spark in the coming games. And then to sort of shore it up in the 90th minute, little goal to the youngster.
Yes, yeah. Scored against Toronto 2 seasons in a row at home. and to be fair, I mean, the first goal he scored, his first MLS goal, that was a great volley that he scored. But this one, for me, was better because of the angle that he scored it from. Yeah. I mean, he was free on goal. He had all the time in the world, bless him. So he had time to pick a spot. But, again, the angle was just so tight.
Funny how this happened, because it was an assist from Ola.
And he
was right there in the 6-yard box and slotted it right in there. So, I'm glad, it's better late than never that, like, this team is showing that, okay, they can show some attacking prowess.
Yes.
It was a very bad team. But hopefully this shows that, like, in those live game scenarios, they can find those opportunities to link up, further down the line here.
Yeah, absolutely. I just could not believe when that final whistle went. I was like, 7-1. I started, because I don't know if you don't follow me on socials or anything. Well, fair play for getting onto this show, but you'll see the graphics that I do for halftime, full times, and things like that. I was running out of room. I had to go onto another line to get the next lot of scorers in. I was just like, this. I mean, I'm happy to do this. I'm over the moon to do this, and if this keeps going, I would like to make it a permanent fixture. But I don't. I mean, if we can got another seven goals in the game, that would blow my mind. But we got it once. We've got to be grateful for it. It was fantastic. Let's revel in the glory of it. Chris Armas got sacked for his 6th defeat in a row. The writing was on the wall really for him anyway. Whether we beat them 1-0 or 7-1, I think he was going to get sacked if he got beat. But what a win! One
thing to point out, though, and I'll kind of get into this, just really impressive wing play from DC United in this game. And to a degree, what was shown between the Philly and Nashville game is that wing play is going to be super important in that coming match, especially as they get into that attacking third. If more of those crosses can find solid contact with our forward players, we could totally see 3 points coming away from that game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at how well Paredes played, you look how well Roberta played, you look how well Gressel played as well. I think he's been incredibly consistent so far this season. Yeah. He's now got a good striker up top to really aim at and hopefully get a few more assists this season. So it's looking promising in my eyes.
Very promising. So speaking of promising, do we want to get into the Philadelphia Union match heading up in the next couple of weekends?
I think we should. So the Philadelphia game is coming up not this weekend. It is coming up the following weekend, as you just rightly said there. 17th of July over in the States. It's the 18th of July here in the UK because it is after midnight. So this is a DCU after dark again for us. So Saturday evening, Sunday morning for us. Kickoff is 19:38 in the evening over on the East Coast. And it is 38 minutes past midnight for us over here in the UK, to be exact. It should be streamed live on dcunited.com/stream. It'll be on NBC Sports Washington. And I think it is on Free Sports over here in the UK as well. I'd have to double check on that one. But I know we've got a few games coming up where they are being shown live on free-to-air TV, so which is great. So all my UK buddies can join in and watch the game along with me.
And if you have ESPN Plus, I guess that that is a great way to catch those games, and especially just general MLS action. That's where you can catch it if you're not in the DC area.
Definitely, or if you're affair with VPNs,
go for it.
Yeah. So head-to-head wise, it doesn't look great on paper for us. Philadelphia have won 16 of the games. We've won 10 of the games, and we've tied 6 of them. So it is very difficult for us against Philadelphia. We never had a good record against them. Recent form, though, for Philadelphia, they've had 1 loss in the last 5 games. They've won 2 and drawn 2. However, for us, we've won 3, lost 1 and drawn 1. So we're looking good. We've only beaten them once in the last 8 games. That was with a 2-1 win back in June of 2019. Not the time when I came out to DC in 2018. That was a disappointing 2-0 defeat. Yes. But there we go. That's that. The 2021 league record for Philadelphia so far is they've played 12, won 5, drawn 4, lost 3, obtained 19 points. And we've played 12, won 5, drawn 1 and lost 6, and we've got 16 points. So there's only 3 points between us. We've got a better goal difference. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Or is it 1 goal in it, I think?
2 goals.
2 goals.
It's 15-17. But like I said, scratch the Toronto game. You're looking at 15-10 goals for. Yeah.
But we need to count that Toronto game because it's happened. We scored 7. Yeah. I'm going to take every little bit I can out with this. It's going to be tricky. It's always been tricky in Philadelphia. It's a tough place to go. It's right on the river. They have that stand which allows you to see the bridge. It's a magnificent view.
It's a fantastic park. I really enjoy it. Went to a game with a buddy of mine. Like you said, beautiful scene. And those Philly fans get loud. So it is a tough place to go to. And I think, Philly just is a different breed, just a different mentality. And I think that's just something that really gets in people's heads when they go there. So they will have a really tough game on the road against New York. They just had a tough game, a 1-0 defeat against Nashville. Former player of theirs, CJ Sapong, came through, scored that lone goal. But what I will say is that they had some trouble on the wings. Let me see if I can find where that is. Their winger. Oh gosh, I can't. They have a winger who played really well and had 3 really key passes.
Randall
Leal, yes.
Had
3 key passes that were very threatening. He completed over 75 or 80% of his passes.
Nearly 80% of his passes. I've got your notes here.
Yeah. So he that is the key with Philadelphia is that they can be torched on the wings. So I think that's something they're going to have to account for when they play DC. Now DC, if they can get that scoring consistent again, they can, do the same thing, but it's going to
Yeah.
be tough. It's going to be something that they'll have to grind out. But unfortunately, I will give Philadelphia the edge in that match.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen your match prediction, and I'm not happy
Yes.
about it in the slightest. But it is one of those things. You're back on that bandwagon of being a disappointing Daniel. Sorry,
And
I
here's the
think
thing. I you know what? If at the end of the year I end up in that Spurs jersey, I'll absolutely take that. I would much rather have kind of a realistic view, or I don't know. The team needs to just find that edge, and
yeah,
that is just a huge thing for them. And like I said, Losada is definitely changing the culture there, and really sharpening up those players between the fitness and diet changes he's made for them,
yeah,
and just the overall philosophy that he's brought in. Like you said, they are in a very different place now than they were at the start of the season. Just
yeah.
fitness wise, and just with their mentality. And maybe we'll see more of what they did against Toronto. So, I will be more than happy if that, to see that happen. But I still think this is a team that, is just a couple years out from being like a top level contender for the Cup.
Okay, okay. So let's hear your match prediction.
Yeah. So my match prediction coming in.
Oh yes, coming in cold because it's not a hot take.
It might be a,
I mean,
we'll
it could
have
be a
to
hot
see.
take for all we know right now. But
So I really think it's going to be a 2-1 DC United defeat. I am just going to give Philadelphia the edge, just having home field advantage.
yeah,
I think it's all going to depend on how they respond against New Jersey
yeah.
next weekend.
Yes, I mean we could go on about which New Jersey it is, but we know which one it is. It's the real New Jersey.
So we will, I may, I don't know. I don't know if I'm confident to lock that in, but I think after the Red Bulls game, I will firmly. But for now,
For now,
2-1 Philadelphia.
I mean it's on record right now.
Fair enough. All right, it's locked in. It's locked in.
I will allow a change because I'm not 100% on what I'm actually going to predict.
Yeah.
But my initial thoughts is a 2-1 win for us. I think it's going to be a hell of a tight game. I think it's going to be ridiculously close. We've got a point to prove after they beat us at our place. And it was the fact that we were in the middle of that injury crisis as well. We had, I think, likes of John Kempen in goal. We had a makeshift back line. Our front line wasn't firing on any cylinders at all. So I think we will. The way we've progressed over the last month, I think it's been fantastic to see. We've really come on leaps and bounds. Yes, we got beat by New York City FC, but that's a massive learning point on how to do game management and how to end the game when we should have gone for the tie and not gone for the win. We would have come away with a point on the road. A point is better than nothing. Yeah. But unfortunately, we went for the win and came away with nothing. It's very much like the game against Orlando. I don't know whether you remember that game where it was 2-2 in added time and David Ousted went up top. We went for the win. And then when Rooney had to sprint all the way back, that tackle, yeah.
All you had to say was the Lucharu special, and I know exactly what you were saying.
I was just wanting to describe it in detail. I mean, that beautiful crossfield ball, the 5'3" Lucho Acosta leaping like a salmon in the air.
At this point, I describe him as 2'1" right now. I always make that height just a little bit smaller, and I always describe Wayne as kicking it all the way from the DC USA in Columbia Heights
Yeah.
over to
Oh,
Acosta's
absolutely.
head.
I mean, it was such a great end to a game. There was absolute scenes on that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, for me, I think it's going to be a 2-1. Like I said, mainly because there's that little bit of a revenge factor to it after
Okay.
getting beat at home. We've come on leaps and bounds since that game. And I think that confidence that we'll have from that 7-1 win and the fact that we'll have that, still keep that little bit match sharpness thanks to this Capital Cup, I think that's going to put us in good stead. But you're right, it all does depend on how they play against the New Jersey Monster Energy drink.
Pink cows.
Pink cows?
That's how we usually go about it.
Okay.
Red Bull pink cows. Yeah.
Yeah, pink cows. We'll go with that one, yeah. So yeah, I think we could do it. We've had a match prediction coming in from the chat from Stu, who reckons it's going to be 2-2. And there is a caveat to this, though. He does say, as long as Kamara doesn't start. Yes. I mean, I see where you've come from on that one. I don't see Kamara starting again this season, genuinely, because the way Roberta is, the way he can hold the ball up, he looks great holding the ball up. He's got some good strength. He's got a cracking finish on him. He's shown that he can finish with both his left foot and his right foot now.
Yeah.
He's got great movement. He seems to be linking up well with the wingers.
Yeah.
I see Kamara now being an impact sub rather than being a starter for this club now. So.
And I ruffled some feathers on Reddit earlier today, saying that, you know, with the next transfer window opening up, you know, DC has options to sort of offload certain players and, you know, maybe get just shore up just some tighter talent either on those on the attacking end. So, you know, hey, if Kamara can show more gusto, because hey, great scoring, you know, ratio so far to minutes.
Leading in MLS.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
But you gotta account for the times where he's looked absolutely lost or
offside.
Can't tell his left foot from his right foot.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, you know, he's got to show it. Yeah. So if he keeps doing it,
I think the frustrating factor for us both, I think we can both agree on, is the fact that he does have the talent.
Yeah.
He just isn't consistent enough, and I think that's the biggest major factor about his game is not consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now I guess, you know, unless we have anything else to go into, you know, sort of game wise,
I don't think so. I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I did have another point, and this is kind of based on another Reddit conversation that happened. I want to say like last week, is that you know, the tifosi culture around Major League Soccer has some really special components, and I think DC brings its own flavor. I think, you know, you've got like just such a really tight knit group of supporters. There's been some unrest this year, but you know, I think all in all, like, you know, it's a group that takes care of their own. But there's you know, aside from, you know, beer throwing and kind of an unfortunate chant in this day and age, you know what, especially like I was kind of looking at what was going on in Nashville with Soccer Moses.
Oh,
which, hilarious enough,
that is great.
I found out is the guitarist from Jars of Clay, which is a band I haven't even thought about in like 15 years.
No idea on this side of the pond.
That is some very like 2003 butt rock is how we kind of describe it. Butt rock.
As in rock like, from your...
kind of like Creed or Puddle of Mud, like, hey,
right. Okay, yeah.
Like that whole kind of vibe with the music.
Okay. To be honest, I don't mind that, so I can get on board with that.
Hey, you know, different strokes, but you know, no, that was very cool seeing that whole thing. You you have Minnesota that has the Wonderwall,
Yeah.
the Woodcutter up in Portland.
Yes.
There's just some cool things here and there, and is that something? So my main question, after that preamble is like, does a soccer team need to have a gimmick to bring people into the supporter group, or to sort of make supporter groups more prominent, or is it really just like one of those things where like is the real whatever sort of supporter group the one that they have their own thing that they dictate, not necessarily for attention, but it is sort of around the team?
I don't think those things are done by the supporter groups. I think that's a collective throughout everyone.
Okay,
Because you look at Columbus Crew and they've got the drilling with. I mean, to me that looked absolutely shocking. I was just like, I saw that, I was like, oh no, it's so MLS. These things are very MLS, and that again, it's why we love the league. The Timber Joey, I love Timber Joey. I think he's fantastic, and the sawing of the timber is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need something? I don't know. I think it's one of these things that has to come naturally.
Yeah,
You can't force this factor, and I think the Columbus Crew's drilling thing, I think that's going to go away fairly soon. I can't see that happening every single game. Because it doesn't, to me, it looks funny, but it doesn't bring a spectacle. Timber Joey does, because you hear the chainsaw going and you see the sawdust flying. That's the spectacle right there.
Yeah.
The Wonderwall is a spectacle because it's everyone singing Wonderwall. That in itself is a spectacle, but drilling is nothing. So I think for us, the beer showers is the spectacle.
Yeah.
I think that is DC United. All of it is the beer showers. Whether we start throwing papooses in the air.
Well, and sort of I bring that up because of sort of like the unfortunate circumstance that happened a few weeks ago. And
exactly.
Obviously, we don't need to get too into it, but maybe the beer flinging is something that maybe should be outmoded at a certain point or something. Yeah. But among sort of like the more jokey responses in this Twitter or Reddit thread, there needs to be a binding resolution or something legislative. That's not necessarily DC. And every time, or when I think of DC, it's not necessarily Capitol Hill. It is, and this ties with the best response was go-go music, and specifically Rare Essence, and just when you walk around DC, either at night, or I want to say it's that intersection of North Cap and Florida Avenue, where that T-Mobile store is. They always have the go-go music playing through the speaker there. There is a just a special thing to that, and that was one of my favorite just little joys walking through DC at times. Either hearing the drummers playing on the plastic containers, after games or whatever, or just sort of randomly playing around town. There's a certain beat that goes with it, and once you hear it, like, it's unmistakable. And there's something so intrinsically DC about that. And hearing that, I was like, yeah, that is such a good response, because that is just such a DC thing. And not to call it a gimmick or anything, but like that if after all my years living in DC, like that is something I remember most of all. And probably something like, I don't know, when that type of music is brought up, it's sort of like hot dogs on a grill or something. Like, I get that sort of sense. Like, I don't even the music doesn't even have to be playing, but like if someone mentions go-go, I just instinctively hear it in my head. Yeah. And I'm like, man, that's like the thing. So yeah, I don't know. That is something I would love to see the team do, is to acknowledge that part of DC. But I'm curious about your end. What's like the Middlesbrough sort of, is there, or is that something that doesn't really exist in English soccer?
I mean, there's things that each team do. There is always something unique about each club. Yeah. But in terms of that kind of style, there really isn't anything. I mean, Middlesbrough is known for its smog.
Yeah.
So there was a time when I mean, it wasn't even us who were doing it as fans. It was the opposing fans. They would come to the stadium in hazmat suits.
Oh Jesus! No, that's good.
That is hilarious.
It's the banter. I think that's what sets English football apart. Is it's
the chants that we come out with,
like that whole the call and response.
You only sing when you're winning. I mean, there's so many great.
You ain't got no history. You got no history like that.
We're talking about Spurs on that one, right?
Yeah, or Chelsea.
Or
even City.
Yeah. But yeah, there's this. It's the chance, and it's not always directed at the opposing fans. There's chance that we direct at the stewards. There was one which I remember seeing, which was one of the stewards looking like Boris Johnson, and there was a chant about that, and it's just like, what on earth? There's chants towards police officers as well. Just jokey ones about pregnant women taking a wee in the policeman's hat, because that is legal. This is a fact for you.
Oh boy!
About Britain is I think it's still true, is that if a pregnant woman needs to relieve herself, and there's a policeman who's wearing his traditional big hat, she's allowed to take it off him and wee in that hat.
There's a story behind that, because obviously that has an origin, but that is
I'd imagine there is. I don't know what it is, but that is legal in this country.
That's I mean, we can get into the weird laws that exist in the United States. In fact, it was one of those things that Wayne Rooney got arrested because he got a little tipsy coming home to Dulles Airport, and I think probably told a police officer to do something.
Yeah.
Call throw out the hard W on him.
But it's just one of those things which there's lines that you can cross over here in the UK with people, and we'll get it, and we know you're joking.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the difference is between the two countries, is the fact that those lines are in different places.
For sure.
And Wayne Rooney did
cross it. You have boobies and F-bombs on television, basic cable, and that is
as long as it's after 9 p.m.
Right.
The watershed. That's what we call it. We call it the watershed hour. As long as it's after 9 p.m., it's pretty much anything goes.
It really is, and that was the wildest thing. Oh, it was so good.
I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, there are some things you can't do on TV. There was actually a YouTube video I was watching, and it was incredibly bizarre, the things that you can't do on television over here. But that's for another podcast, because we're not talking about football anymore. We're talking about weird and wonderful laws of the UK and the USA.
Yes.
I did notice that you put down on the show notes about sort of road trips, obviously to Philly, Screaming Eagles.
If we're ready to close this out,
we are. Yes,
part of the closing, and these are always fun, and I guess I sort of say this, obviously supporter group members are already in the know, but even for non-members, there are periodic road trip tickets available, and that is coming up for the Philadelphia game. So the Screaming Eagles are loading up a bus. For members and non-members, it is $50, and this includes the ride and the ticket to and from. But members get a $22 discount or a refund off that $50. And so if anyone is sort of interested in seeing what that is like, taking those road trips, and they're really fun. I've been on a couple of those. So that can be found at sestore.net. And they have a disclaimer about mask wearing mandatory on the bus unless you're eating or drinking.
Which, to be honest, you're probably drinking all the way, so you're not going to be wearing the mask.
So those are really fun. So if you're not a supporter group member, definitely check that out, because those are great times to bond with sort of like-minded folks.
Indeed. Just one other thing before we do the final close-up. There was some news that came out in the UK today about international travel.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Buckling up now.
Yes, yeah. Buckle yourselves in because it is a bit of a roller coaster ride, this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the good news is, well, obviously I'm double vaxxed now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously great news. And when you're double vaxxed now, you know how we like our little traffic light system of the green, amber, red. Those who travel to green and amber countries do not have to quarantine on their return.
Oh, very nice.
However,
oh boy,
you guys are not allowing us into your country.
Oh, really? Oh, this is a Biden thing then, isn't it? Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So you totally have the green light, if you could, but you have it on you're from your country, but we are
you won't let us in. I'd have to go somewhere else for 2 weeks. And then fly to the USA. Yeah. And then I'll be all right. But yeah. So as it stands at the moment, I mean, to be fair, I still need to sort out my passport because that expired ages ago. But yeah, as it stands at the moment, we've got the green light over this side from the 19th of July, I want to say, a week on Monday. That's our Freedom Day, when we can do our strong Braveheart impression, go, freedom! And we're allowed out. All the rules are relaxed. There's no mandatory mask wearing. There's no rules on limits on people in venues or anything like that. It's just
still can't drink on the tube though.
Still, I mean, that's always been don't drinking on the tube.
I was in London. I think I've told this story, but I was in London on the very last day before Boris Johnson completely put the kibosh on that, and that was a fantastic little time.
Yes, that was back when he was mayor of London.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he's now the prime minister, and everybody hates him still. So let's wrap things up on that that bombshell. So Daniel, tell the good folks out there where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter and Instagram at SDakotaSoccer. If you're a DC United fan or Arsenal, I'm very much up for talking shop on that. Or if you're brand new to soccer, you got burning questions about, hey, I see all these guys on the TV. What are they doing? What's the point? I got some resources for you. So check out my Twitter. I got a link to my blog, Soccer Made Simple, on there. Got some really nice articles that cover the culture and business and strategy of soccer. So you can become an expert through me.
There you go.
For free. What a deal.
What a deal. Become an expert in soccer, or as we like to call it over this side of the pond, football. And for me, if you're following me on Twitter, thank you very much. But if you're not, it's at DC United Kingdom. It's the same for Facebook and Instagram, just at FC at the end, so at DC United Kingdom FC. If you want to buy some lovely merch, I will do a little demonstration. I have a lovely flag over behind me on the sofa. You don't have to buy that. I mean, if you did, fantastic. Thank you very much. And take it to a DC United match. Why not? But there is T-shirts, there's mugs.
I need to get some set dressing myself.
You need to get something, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll sort that out at some point. But yes, there's lots of merch on there. You can even get yourself a pint glass. Because, why not? Get yourself a DCUK pint glass. Take that to the game. I don't think you'd be allowed in, but take it with you. Can you imagine that? I'm here for the game. So what's that in your bag, on your hand? It's a pint glass. So you're not allowed to bring that in. I'm like, oh dear. Anyway, but yes, there's loads of merch on there, so feel free, go check that out. The link should be in the description below. And if you want to become a DC UK member, like there's 40 of us in the group now, like Daniel over. Damn it! There. Did it wrong. He is a DC UK member, so come and join us. We have a Twitter group if you want to join in that, or not, you're more than welcome to come and join us. I'll try and keep everyone up to date on a monthly basis. Because, why not? It's free to join. There is a paid tier for it, and that does help towards producing the show, producing the website, and all the great content that I do give you guys. But this is the end of season 3, episode 16 of the DC UK podcast. And if you're not already, feel free to there we go, get the up on screen, give this video a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for any future episodes. And until next time,